What's up, you beautiful collectors? This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 391 of the Mark 30, otherwise known as Blue Steel, from Iron Man 3. As you can see for the package, very similar to a lot of all the other House Party Protocol suits, except you got this absolutely gorgeous bluish reflective foil throughout the entire package. And then as you see up here, Blue Steel is an exclusive here in North America to Sideshow Collectibles. Then as you come around to the side, you see that really gorgeous blue foil kind of carry over to the back where you have the various warnings and such. And then when you lift up the slip sleeve cover, on the back of the inner package, you have the cast and crew responsible for making this figure. And then coming around to the front, you have an open window that fully showcases the figure as well as some of his accessories. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Blue Steel opened up and out of his packaging. And much like all Hot Toy figures, he does come with his instruction sheet, which I do recommend going through. It's not overly complicated. There's not a lot in this figure that we really haven't seen before in an Iron Man piece, especially if you have the Silver Centurion, which is exactly like this figure. But it is important to kind of go over and just touch base and make sure you know what you can do. Now, as I mentioned, the Blue Steel here is Mark 30. Which is a predecessor to that Mark 33 Silver Centurion figure. So because of that, basically everything that you see here is what we got with the Silver Centurion. The only difference, obviously, is the color. But I absolutely love the look of this. As many of you know, when you watch my videos on these, the Iron Man suits that have a slightly different color than what we're used to in terms of like the red and the gold really do stand out to me. And being that blue and silver are kind of my favorite colors, this one really looks terrific. Now for his accessories, in addition to the two fisted hands that are currently on him, he comes with a both right and left articulated hand, although I did not grab the articulated one. This is it. You got the fingers that bend at 3 different knuckles. You got a thumb that's on a ball joint with a hinge here for the other knuckle. You have the clear section for the repulsor blast. You can see that the wrist guard is molded onto the back of the hand, which does allow for a lot better range of motion when you're trying to position it on there. It just works out a lot better. And then you also do get a right and left hand that's in this kind of repulsor blast sort of pose. So basically the exact same thing. The fingers are not articulated, but you got the wrist that's bent so that when you plug it into the ball joint that's on the actual wrist section, the hands are positioned like this. But again, gorgeous color on there. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, this definitely looks like the Detroit Lions blue. Now, I know a lot of people are probably not Lions fans, but me being from Detroit, bam, there it is. And just for the heck of it, these are the shorts that I'm wearing. You can see Detroit Lions, and that is a very similar color. That was weird. I don't know why I did that, but hey, in addition to the hands, he also does get a battle damaged chest piece. You can see that you got a lot of scorching throughout the entire thing. The whole body actually does, but you can see that much like that Silver Centurion chest piece, it's broken up and damaged here, which is accurate to how that Silver Centurion was displayed in the movie itself. If you remember, Aldrich Killian kind of grabbed right there and like melted that whole section. So again, this is just a reused piece, but real great detail. I mean, you can see that you got a lot of scrapes and dents kind of sculpted in there, which look great. You got some nice scorch marks on the silver. Now, the Silver Centurion had that as well, but because of the color on here, I don't know, it just seems to kind of pop more. There's more silver in here than on that Silver Centurion figure, which is kind of strange, but and likewise on the rest of the body, it looks really good. And then he also does come with this display stand. As you can see, it's that Iron Man base, fairly large. Again, I do wish they would include the smaller, just standard ones. I really can't imagine that increasing the price too much. You can't put any batteries in this or anything, so this section here doesn't light up. You also do get the flexible pillar with it. You got the little C-clamp right here at the top, so you can get some nice poses with him flying and such. And then because, again, as I said, this is a precursor to the Silver Centurion figure, he also does come with these blades. Now, it's said that these are made out of vibranium. I don't know if they ever really went into that in the Iron Man 3 movie, but that's typically what this is considered being made out of. So really very nice. These are made out of metal. And then you actually do get a pretty decent kind of paint wash that comes across the bottom. It gets a little bit darker down here. So coming back to the actual figure, really all you do for this is much like that Silver Centurion, you got little sections right here that you literally just tab that in. If let's see, maybe I don't remember if it had a specific position. No, I don't think it does. So you just wedge that in there just like so. I think that is a really cool look for him, to have like these daggers jutting right out of his hands. I mean, I think that that's just a cool design element. That's one of the aspects of the Silver Centurion that I really did like. And since it was actually featured in the film, I think that it has, an extra bit of cool to it. So you can position them with those in there. I'm going to take those out just for the time being. But taking a look at the figure, this guy, his hand popped off. This guy, though, really is a terrific and gorgeous looking piece. As I said, I just love the coloring on this. Obviously, I'll bring in the Silver Centurion for comparison here in a little bit, but just looking at the contrast in the colors, blue and silver just look really very good together. Again, you can see all this battle damage and scorching throughout the entire thing. As I talked about, there is more silver on this than the previous one, so it does really show a lot more. Gorgeous scrapings and everything throughout the entire thing. You got those silver accents there in the abdomen. You come down here to the side, you got some really nice silver. I mean, one thing that I'm noticing is the silver is really very reflective, almost giving it a metal sort of look. I really do dig that. Great detail here along the side. You come around to the back again, you can see some nice scorching throughout the whole thing. Even the actual helmet, there's some scorching kind of like right there, and then you got some scratches throughout the entire thing. Scratches on his butt. Great detail down here in the legs. You can remove this. Well, you're not supposed to remove it, but putting that back in there, you can see that that does hinge out a little bit, and there we go. You can see that great detail on the inside here. Kind of collapse that right back in. But again, nice scorching through the hamstring area. Great detail with the actual boots. You got a lot of wear down here as well. You look at the bottom, great detail even on the bottom of them. The little thrusters and kind of treads, I guess. Nice silver accents throughout there. Just overall, I mean, again, gorgeous, gorgeous looking piece that color-wise, I think really makes this thing stand out. Now, for comparison, here he is next to the Silver Centurion, and like I was talking about, there's a lot more silver on this. I mean, now that I'm actually looking at it, the parts here that are red that are silver on the new blue steel version don't have any of that wear on there, which that's definitely a nice added touch. This guy is a lot cleaner, especially in some of like just the extra areas, whereas this has a lot of scratching and stuff. Silver Centurion really doesn't for the most part. It's kind of interesting. So I do like the additional detail that's put on there. And again, just looking at the contrasts, you can even see that the silver that is on the Silver Centurion is a little bit darker of a color, whereas blue steel is a lot more reflective. Coming back and taking a more wider angle look at the body, I mean, you can see again with the legs, all the difference and stuff. You got a lot more silver in blue steel leg area. I mean, really very, very striking. I like the actual helmet. You can see that the Silver Centurion here, he just has basically a silver mask, and then the rest of the helmet is red, whereas blue steel is almost all silver. I mean, the whole face mask here, even going back to the top of the helmet stuff, is all silver, which it really very, very gorgeous looking. I mean, I do still really, really like the Mark 33 here, but blue steel, again, just the colors really make him pop. Now, he also does have all the lights and such that the previous version did. You take this top section off, you got the little switch right there, so you flip that on. You can see his eyes light up very, very nicely. I'm obviously not going to leave those on because it will drain the battery, so let's just find the switch and turn those back off. Very bright though, you can see that very nicely. You come to the inside of the arm. I will remove this just because you'll need to be able to see it, but you got the switch on the inside here that you can turn on, and you can blind people, bling! So you do have that as well. Put the little fist right back on there. You can replace the arc or the chest section right here. It's a little bit tricky. Kind of get in there and see if I can wedge that. I don't have my little tool right here, and obviously I don't want to use a metal thing to do it. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Just wedge that out. There we go. Come on. There we go. Come on. Almost got it. There we go. So again, great detail on the inside section. You can bring this on and you get a lot more of that battle damage. I do really love the way that looks. That's really cool how it's all damaged like that. Come around here to the back. This whole back section here removes, and that's where the switch is for the chest. So just flip that. Gorgeous looking arc reactor. It's in that triangular shape, but really nice molded detail in the arc reactor just itself. So for his articulation, the head here, you can see that the neck does have a little bit of a flex. You can rotate that, but the main part of the head is on a nice ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion with that. Can move up fairly decently for a good flight pose. The shoulders, you do want to be a little bit careful because of these pieces right here. They do flex, and you can feel a spring on there that brings them back down. So you can rotate those around, and you kind of move it out when you're rotating it. Just be careful as you do it because it does kind of bump into each other. And then this little piece right here is kind of a floating piece, so it does move around. So again, just be careful. Hinges forward and back. It does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. He does have two joints here at the elbow. You can move it forward, and then you got another joint that kind of comes forward just like that. And then you can actually extend it unless it's already extended. I'm trying to see. That might already be extended, actually. Let me try collapsing. Well, let me try this one. Try collapsing that up and in. That's really tough. Yeah, that's already collapsed up. So let me see. Is this one as well? I think this one is also. I don't know how I did that, if I already did that. Yeah, that was collapsed already up. So you do have an extension, so you can bend it like that. And then when you pop this joint out, and basically doing it already pulls it out kind of. So this one was already pushed up. So when you do it, yeah, it already does kind of bring it out already when you move it forward. So you do have that. The waist section here, it does rotate a little, but you can also extend that up so you can get a little bit more of a range of motion with it, and it shifts side to side, hinges forward and back a little bit, and then you can collapse it back down. Then for the legs here, you can see they move a little bit. You kind of get going back that far and about there. Then you can also extend that down and get a further range of motion going both forward and back, and then it can move in and out very nicely. And then it does slightly rotate here at the upper part of the thigh, then collapsing that back. Then you come down here to the knee, and you got two joints at the knee, giving you a real good kickback kind of motion. And then the ankles themselves can pivot side to side a little. They move forward and back. You got these little flaps right here that do kind of move along with it, allowing for some extra flexing. You really only get a little bit of pivot side to side. So good level of posability in them. Pretty much standard for a Hot Toy figure that's made out of plastic. The die-cast ones obviously do get a little bit more articulation, but still absolutely, as I'm about to drop them, but still absolutely a gorgeous looking piece. But as I talked about, the suits with the unique colors really end up being my favorite suits. And Blue Steel here is definitely one of them. The contrast between the lighter blue and silver really do pop. And while not a very classic look for Iron Man, it adds a lot of variety to an Iron Man display. Now granted, Blue Steel here did not make an appearance in the Iron Man 3 film. That was left to Silver Centurion. But if you're collecting the House Party Protocol, this is definitely one that you're going to want to have. With all the other ones, it absolutely stands out and really does catch your eye. So if Blue Steel is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, he is available right now at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on this guy as well as the rest of their wide range of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, do me a real quick favor and click that bell right below this video. And double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.